fucking bright again. I'm gonna lose my mind. So I had to refilm one of the videos that I filmed yesterday, which is the one I filmed about Monet. That's not the one I have to refilm. Thank God. I have to refilm one about empowerment. So at the end of my last video about essential oils, if you didn't catch that video, you can definitely check it out here. Maybe watch that video first. I don't know. But at the end of that video, I went on a kind of, I would say, long rant about like what it means to empower women and how people in MLMs, I think, really take that term and try to strawman argument you when you try to critique them. So I actually had to cut a lot of that video out because it was like a 20-minute rant, and that video was already so long. So I thought I would just make my own video about addressing that problem and like what it actually means to empower women and some of the things that these people do that just are not empowering to begin with. So the first thing I do want to mention, I didn't do my intro. Hi, this is that girl Connor. Welcome to another episode of The Simulation. And I said I was going to start doing tea of the day, so I'm actually just having my regular morning tea in this mug that my coworker got me from North Carolina. I really like this mug. It has a spot for like one of those cute little spoons, but my morning tea is just 2 bags of English breakfast tea, some sugar and water, and this is the only sugar and milk. This is the only tea I actually drink that has sugar put into it. I drink this every morning instead of coffee. So the first thing I want to talk about is like what it means to empower women and why we want to be empowered as women. So, because I think that that's really where this misunderstanding comes from. So, women empowerment, I think, would mean, or how I would have it mean, or I think as a lot of feminists would understand what it means, is the fact that women are given, all women, also women of color, trans women, queer women, all these women are given equal opportunities presented to themselves both on paper and societally. So I think a good reason why I specify that is because think of like technically in your high school a girl could be on like the wrestling team or the football team, but how is that actually in practice? And it's our job as women to not ostracize that woman who wants to do something that's not typically done by women. It's our job to support and endorse her, which I think I was probably not the best about doing when I was in middle school, and it's something that we have to work on. Just because you have the ability to do something on paper doesn't mean that you would have the ability to do something societally, right? Because of the amount of pressure that comes from you. It's kind of like when people talk about like, well, in like kind of really conservative areas where there's less divorce, it's like, well, because it's a bigger deal to leave. You're leaving literally your whole family, your whole friends. Like when you leave a cult, yes, you can always leave, but the brainwashing and the conditioning they do around you makes you feel like you can't leave. Just watch anything on Scientology. However, that would be one part of the definition of empowerment for women, where you feel like you are supported not just by like legal means or on paper, but by other people around you, and especially women around you. And then additionally, when we critique other women, we have to be mindful that we are not critiquing them on things that have no merit on the thing we're critiquing. Oh God, I said critique so much. So like, if I was going to critique somebody for eating essential oils, I'm not critiquing the fact of their body or their clothes or the fact that they maybe went to a college that I was like, whatever, or I'm not critiquing them on something like that. I'm critiquing them on the ability they have to like present their argument. It is wrong to eat essential oils and it's wrong to promote that, and that's what I'm critiquing them for. That's what it is. It is not, oh, and I hate her outfit, or oh, can you believe that she's like skateboarding? Those things don't matter, and especially when you wouldn't critique a man the same way. The only time it matters when we're critiquing people in MLMs, we're not critiquing like how they look or how they're dressing. We're critiquing literally the fact that they're in an MLM and what they're using to promote MLMs. So let's back it all the way up and talk about why I wanted to talk about this topic, because I see a lot of people online or like with the anti-MLM channels that I watch, they have videos of these girls talking about how when you aren't supporting them or when you speak out against them, you are not being empowering to women and you are not being a good feminist. And it really makes me sit, because that's something that you want to be when you want to be a feminist. You want to be a good feminist. You want to make sure that you are supporting other women. However, the damage that MLMs do, and the way that they recruit you and then lie to you once you're in, and the shame cycles they promote once you're in them are not empowering, and therefore you're not wrong to speak out against them. They specifically target women, and there will be a video in my description below by the genetically modified skeptic and his wife, the anti-humbat, which are really great videos to check out, about how MLMs were specifically designed to target women, and then how they sell this false narrative of empowerment. And I just wanted to show some TikToks from these girls that I think really demonstrate that point, and I just wanted to talk about it a little bit more, because I don't want anybody to be caught in that, like, oh my gosh, maybe I am hurting her feelings. You have to remember that these people, especially the people that are high up, again, you know, I think there becomes a certain point where you are no longer like a victim in an MLM. Once you are participating actively, recruiting people, you are selling a false narrative that you know people aren't going to reach. That's when it becomes an issue. So I saw one TikTok that really inspired this, and just like last video, I gotta go through all my fucking screen recorded, nobody is safe from me, boom, boom. With her point here, right? That women should support other women, and when we do that, great things can happen. That's absolutely true. We should be supporting other women, but she wants you to stop critiquing her predatory business, and I have an issue with that. That's nefarious in my book. We can still critique the things that you're doing, even if you are a woman. And yes, we shouldn't say things like, oh, I hate cheetah print and you're wearing a cheetah print top. That has nothing to do with the fact that you are promoting and endorsing and trying to get people to sign up under you in a pyramid scheme, or a not yet determined pyramid scheme, or an MLM, or network marketing, or whatever the heck they want to call it. It's not okay, and I really have a huge issue with it. And again, they really take this language and try to make you feel really bad if you want to critique something that you know is wrong. And again, that's not feminism. Feminism isn't freedom of critique, or being a woman is not freedom of critique. Empowering other women is not freedom of critique. It is working to make your voices heard for other women. Especially because, okay, separately, what is so empowering about these companies that will just like message you and be like, hey, your skin looks like shit, your hair is terrible, you look fat, do you want my skinny coffee? Like, what the hell even is skinny coffee? I want to know, because separately, I don't have like a video on this, but separately, like all these people that are like, drink your greens, and it's like one scoop of powdered bullshit has like 35 vegetables and fruits, and I'm like, you could just eat fruit. I'm sure that would be better for you than like whatever the hell this is. And also, I don't understand what skinny coffee is. Coffee is already like a natural diuretic. What the hell is it, and what are you putting in it that's making it skinny? I just feel like it's a little I just feel like it's a little backwards. It's a little confusing to me what it is that they're trying to say, and they're trying to tell you that they're being really empowering while telling you like to your face that you need to lose weight, and you don't even know these people. So here's another one. I didn't make money. Did you show up constantly, have a mindset, do the full training? Were you coachable? Did you give it more than own it? You didn't try. This has the same energy to me as that meme that happened at the start of the very first lockdown in March, where people were like, if you don't come out of this a better person with a better body, like don't ever say you didn't have the time, you didn't have the willpower. And people were kind of like, yeah, but like, there's a lot of stuff happening. Again, they don't tell you that you have to. It's such a weird mixture of like, you have to show up every day, every second of every day, and be 100% consistent, and just show up and sell shampoo. I'll show you another video I recorded that just like is the opposite of what this girl said. hopefully.
Okay, but I could never do what you do. All I do is wash my hair. But then how do you make money? I share it and then people ask me about it. And then what? I just help them and place their order. How much do you make a month? Okay, but
is that what that girl talked about? All the mindset training you have to do, showing up all the time, give it 90 days, that's on you. But this girl's telling you, I just help people place some orders and then I make so much money. She didn't put an income disclosure at the end of that. We know Monat's was leaked. They don't have their comments anymore. But it's okay because apparently that's the same thing. It's disparaging what they tell you you're gonna have to do versus how they draw you in. And again, those shame cycles. Also, it's so funny to me. They all talk about this like mindset training they do, and they basically like listen to, I would say, surface level motivational speakers, you know, the like intense, like the people who are on those like entrepreneur Instagram pages where it's just like, I wanted to talk a little bit about like the mindset stuff that they always talk about like personal growth and like those kind of things. It's very selective what you have to do, right? It's like the kind of, I would say, surface level motivational speaking where you just rev people up constantly so they have this high adrenaline of uber productivity to evaluate their goodness, and then if they don't have that uber productivity, they're bad people. And it's that very like Gary Vee, Rachel Hollis, like entrepreneurial pages on Instagram, like rise and grind. If you didn't rise and grind, it's all on you. Like high social gospel, high bullshit all the time. And I just don't get it. I don't understand how that's motivational. I don't understand how they can speak from such a place of like, we're better than you because we read 10 minutes of motivational books all the time. Like regular books are also great for personal growth. Journaling's great for personal growth, but you have to do hard work. It's not just this surface level, like, so you can tell people how good you are, right? So this girl makes it seem like it's a lot easier than the other girl. And I'm not saying I want a job where I don't have to show up consistently and put in effort. I'm just saying, like, clearly they're selling you something. They're selling you something that's a lot different than what you have to do to be in it. I'm going to show you one more where I think the girl's kind of mean, and I think that's where we really can see I would say, the shame cycles and the shittiness that they really like to promote. Again, the way that they kind of straw man other people's arguments. One, if you critique me, you're anti-feminist and you're not empowering me. Two, you're only critiquing me because you were in an MLM and you failed. I was never in an MLM. I've never failed at one. I just think that they're really problematic, and once I noticed them, they were everywhere, and they're kind of scary, and they really suck people in, and they really, have to fit the bite model really well. And as somebody who like really hates cults and like finds a lot of things attuned to that, I find them incredibly interesting, even though they're all the same. And I know that people think it's harsh, but these people are lying to you. They are selling you like a false sense of hope and telling you that if you worked harder, you would have done it. It's the same kind of language that I think people use when you leave like a high demand religion or a cult, right? Where you're like, that person couldn't hold up to God's will. That person wasn't strong enough. That person didn't do it. But these were designed with you to fail. You make more money. You have a better chance of making money gambling than you do getting involved in an MLM. So let's watch this video. Work hard, be consistent. Sure. Get out of your own way. You are capable. Stop listening to miserable and lazy people. I'm not miserable. And I also would say that I am not lazy. But I'm sure a lot of people think that they're not lazy. However, listen to the people that are giving you facts, articles, statistics. This isn't about being positive all the time. This isn't about the fact that I want you to fail. I have no vested interest if you fail or succeed. I would like for you to succeed, I would think, but I don't care if you fail or succeed. I don't have a vested interest in you staying in it, like your upline does, like the people around you do. Because also, don't forget, they talk about all these like amazing friendships that you're gonna get. They're gonna talk about all the great empowering stuff they do. But if you leave, you're lazy and miserable. So is that how you want people to talk about you behind your back? Because like that's the thing, you meet all these great women and they're just so happy for you unless you leave. So actually, I They run a couple Instagrams. One of them is Empowerment Women Corner. It's run by somebody who's in an MLM. I'm not gonna tell you who, but you can find it. This is funny because if you watch Kiki Chanel's video about how Rachel Hollis plagiarizes a lot of stuff, I'm pretty sure this is a Rachel Hollis quote. Girl, stop apologizing and feeling guilty for doing what's best for you. Girl, learn to be okay with people not knowing your side of the story. You don't have to prove it to anyone. I went from playing it safe in a small 7-figure business in less than 7 months, like you can too. And then there's one that's just like, girl, start the business. And there's a lot of them. And to be honest with you, again, they remind me of those like cool kind of surface level, like just girly things, maybe like quotes that you would have said to your friends in high school. But when you realize it's like how adult women are convincing themselves to like send out hey girls and tell you that you're miserable if you don't want to join them, then I have a lot of questions. Again, remember, these people look at you like money. You are money to them. That is what they are trying to get out of you. I think that one of the best videos that really exemplifies this is Savannah Marie did this video. I'll try to find it. I don't remember which one, where this Monique girl is like going off about how people will can't find the money to buy into Monique, but will spend money on Halloween decorations. But Halloween decorations aren't going to make you money. It's so insane to me that these people, and then she's like, you need to get into this entrepreneurial mindset, but it's really just this like high social gospel, like high capitalist like mindset where like everything you do ever should be something that makes you money. And if your friendships are bringing you money, not good. If your Halloween decorations are bringing you money, not good. Your hobbies aren't bringing you money. And it's so interesting because it's like that productivity culture we live in where it's like, if you are not producing 100% of the time, you feel guilty. I'm somebody who does that a lot. I feel really bad if I'm not constantly doing something. I have a lot of anxiety when I'm just sitting still, and it makes me feel incredibly guilty to not be doing something 100% of the time. And one of the things that I started doing at the start of the pandemic was these little embroidery things. I made this one. I'm really proud of it. It's one of my favorites, so I put it in the videos. But I had a friend one time, and she was kind of like, oh, you should start selling those. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to. I have a hobby that I enjoy doing. I don't design them myself. I buy like little kits off Amazon, or I'm starting to design some of my own, but those are not my own unique designs, and I don't want to sell them. I just want to do them to relax while I'm watching TV, so I don't have to stress about every word that I've said today and every email that I've sent today, which is something that I do. I just want to do something that is just for me. Maybe I give them to friends. I like doing that, but like it's not for anything else other than my own personal enjoyment. You don't have to monetize your entire life, and I don't think that it's very empowering to kind of sell that to women. People prey after people who are vulnerable and desperate and looking for something new, and they use it because they know that they will get into it. Again, I highly recommend and it'll be linked below, but the Genetically Modified Skeptic and the Anti-Hembot have a really great video on just how calculated it all is and how much they go after women. And I want to remind you that being in an MLM and promoting an MLM is the opposite of empowering women. And so I just wanted to get on here and let you guys know that there's a lot of statistics, there's a lot of things out there, but look at those 3 videos we just saw. I would say one of them was about like, hey, let's all support each other kind of deal, but the other one was a disparity of like what you are recruited into doing and what you have to do, and also if you fail, it's your fault, and if you fail, you're lazy and miserable. I just think that one of those is not supporting women. It reminds me kind of, and I also wanted to talk about this, after Amy Coney Bryant was placed into the Supreme Court, I saw a lot of people that I went to college with kind of sharing this whole idea of like, if you didn't support her, you were proving that feminists only cared about certain women and not all women because she was like a wife and mother. But the thing is I would not support Amy Coney Bryant for multiple reasons, but mostly because she's unqualified for the job, and then additionally, she is a woman who benefited from feminism, and she wants to take away the rights that other women fought for her to have. remember, feminism is not that old. We don't have very many things, and while we like to say, like, this is the first election, or this is the election 100 years since women got the right to vote, it's the election 100 years from when white women got the right to vote. We are not that far away from a lot of issues. My grandmother was in the era, my mom remembers my grandmother getting her first credit card on her own without my grandfather's permission. My grandmother was more educated than my grandfather. She had like a master's, or the equivalent of a master's degree of 30 hours plus for education. My grandmother started her own kindergarten program and taught for 14 years. My grandmother was more qualified than my grandfather, but my grandmother, for most of her life, had to have my grandfather's permission to get a credit card. And my mom vividly remembers that, and vividly remembers that Sears was the first company to give women credit cards, not because they also thought women were capable of having credit cards, but they thought that they could convince women to then have lifelong relationships with them, because they were the first people to give them freedom of credit cards. That is not that long ago. Just like the civil rights movement is not as long as we like to pretend it is. These things are still a huge part of our culture and our societal makeup, and they always will be, but they are not as far as people want us to pretend that they are away from us. And it is women like Amy Coney Bryant who really set a stage for, I think, dangerous allowances. But you're not anti-feminist for not supporting her. It's not because she's a wife and mom. It's not even because she's I would say, like, conservative or like Catholic or anything like that. I just have a hard time with women who promote doing certain things and a certain lifestyle while they will never have to live it. It's the same thing people like Girl Defined do. It's the same thing that, like, Serena Joy tried to do in The Handmaid's Tale, when she was promoting something that was miserable when she had to live the life that she was promoting. That's what it is. And this has gotten a little off the rails, but I just want you to know that you're not a bad feminist, and you're not empowering women. They are not empowering women, and they're trying to make you beholden to that. That's what it is. So I guess that's kind of the end of the video. I finally feel like I did it nice and concise. I haven't had enough of my tea today. I guess to wrap up, I do want to talk about one more thing. I'm so tired. I stayed up till 3 a.m. last night reading the final Twilight book, or the newest Twilight book. I had not read any Twilight books growing up, and I just watched the movies at the start of quarantine, but for some reason, like, I wanted to read Midnight Sun. I just did. So I was on the wait list in the library for like 6 months. I obviously got it like early, I think, this week, maybe over the weekend. I've had access to it for like a little bit. Oh my God. It's terrible. But it's like, I can't put it down. I stayed up so late. It's like 820 pages. And I like want to read the next one from Edward's perspective, although I don't, because I know the next one is when he's like not really there for very long, so I don't really want to read that one. But anyways, what I wanted to recommend is the Libby app. I'm not promoting, I'm not like paid to promote this or anything, but at the start, or actually after moving to the apartment, so like in June or July, kind of discovered this. It's called the Libby app. You can download it to any device, and then you link it to your library card, and then you have access to your local library system on ebook and audiobook. And I'm just thinking that it's a good way to maybe not necessarily have to purchase books, and also like don't have to use Audible, which is owned by Amazon, and Jeff Bezos made billions of dollars in the pandemic, and maybe it's good to sometimes look for alternatives. And also the big thing for me is when an audiobook, or when Audible has a book that's an Audible exclusive, this sounds maybe obvious, but that means libraries can't have access to it, and libraries are like the best way we have access to public and like free education and opportunities. And growing up, I loved going to my local library, the Hatboro Library. The librarian I grew up with actually just died, unfortunately. Libraries were a huge part of the community, and it's really important that we continue to support them. And it's just as convenient, because the thing about it is, like, why do you have to buy an ebook? It's not something you can even put on your shelf to display. You just like have it and then you give it back, and it's honestly quite nice. I don't love like reading on a tablet, but you know what? I've had access to so many more books, and you don't even have to remember to return them, because they just take it right back, or you can return them early. And they, like I said, they have audiobooks and ebooks, and you can do it on like a phone, an iPad, or a tablet. And you can even open it like on that app, or you can open it wherever you have the Kindle app. So I just think that that's like a really great thing to look into, just to like read more, and you can find a lot of books that way. So I don't recommend the newest Twilight book, but I do recommend the Libby app. And from me and Cow, who's sunbathing in the kitchen, she's very cute, have a great day.